He laughed at her, mocked her, and said, "Dance tango, I'll marry you." What he never expected was that her steps would silence a room full of billionaires, and change his heart forever. Before we dive into this breathtaking story, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Goodness Corner, because today's tale will stay in your heart long after it ends. The ballroom shimmered under golden chandeliers, the polished marble floor reflecting the soft glow of candlelight. Outside, the Arabian night was still and quiet, but inside the hall, the richest and most powerful had gathered. Every woman in the room wore a gown stitched with diamonds, every man adjusted cufflinks worth small fortunes. Yet no one shone brighter, or carried himself with more arrogance, than Sheikh Zayed al-Rashid, the young billionaire whose empire stretched across oil fields, skyscrapers, and the very seas themselves. He was untouchable, or at least, he believed he was. Zayd leaned back in his chair, sipping his wine with a smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. Around him, women whispered and stared, hoping for a glance, a nod, a chance to be noticed. He enjoyed the attention, but beneath his charm lay an arrogance that made most people fear him rather than love him. Tonight was his birthday celebration, an event that drew royals, magnates, and celebrities from every corner of the globe. But in the corner of the hall, standing awkwardly and unnoticed, was a young woman who didn't belong to this world of glitter and pride. Her name was Elara. She wasn't rich, nor was she famous. She was here as a performer, one of the dancers invited to entertain the guests. But unlike the others, she carried no troupe, no sponsor, and no one by her side. She had one thing only, her courage. For weeks she had trained, rehearsing a single dance that might change her destiny. She wasn't here just for applause, she was here for survival. Her family was drowning in debt, her little brother's medicine growing costlier every day. This performance wasn't just art, it was her last chance. The music began softly, violins sweeping through the air. Elara took a deep breath, her simple red dress clinging to her slender frame. She stepped forward, her eyes fixed not on the crowd but on her own trembling hands. She had danced tango 100 times in practice, but never in front of so many judging eyes. The rhythm picked up, the guitar strings snapping with fire, and Elara moved, hesitant at first, then flowing with grace. The floor became her stage, and the silence that fell across the room told her she had captured their attention. Zayd, however, was unimpressed. He leaned forward, watching with narrowed eyes. There was elegance in her steps, but to him, she was just another performer hoping to catch his favor. When she spun, her hair cascading like midnight silk, he chuckled to his friends. "These girls, they think beauty is enough. They don't know real power." His words stung Elara, though he hadn't spoken them to her directly. She could feel the weight of his gaze, the cruel amusement dancing in his expression. When the music ended, the applause was scattered. Some clapped politely, others turned back to their conversations. Zayd yawned, loud enough for those around him to hear. Elara's heart sank. All her preparation, all her hope, it seemed wasted. She bowed her head, ready to retreat, when Zayd's voice suddenly cut through the chatter. "Wait," he said, his tone dripping with mockery. The room fell silent again, for when Zayd spoke, everyone listened. His dark eyes sparkled with challenge as he rose to his feet. "You call that a tango?" Elara froze, her breath caught in her chest. She dared not answer, but her silence only fueled his arrogance. He stepped closer, his tailored suit moving like flowing midnight. "Dance tango, and I'll marry you," he jeered, his words sharp as a dagger cloaked in velvet. The hall erupted in laughter. Women covered their mouths, men smirked, the orchestra musicians shifted uncomfortably. To them, it was nothing but a cruel joke. An impossible dare meant to humiliate a girl who dared to dream above her station. Elara's cheeks burned, but her eyes did not lower. She looked at Zayd, really looked at him, not as the billionaire untouchable to all, but as a man hiding his pride behind cruelty. She took a deep breath. Then watch closely, she said, her voice steady though her heart raced like a wild horse. The crowd gasped. No one dared speak back to Zayd, yet this young woman, fragile in appearance, had just accepted his challenge. He smirked, raising an eyebrow. Very well, he said, returning to his seat. Show me a tango worthy of a crown. The musicians hesitated, then lifted their bows. The tango began, its rhythm fierce and seductive. Elara closed her eyes for just a second, whispering a silent prayer. Then, with a sharp breath, she leapt into motion. Her body bent with perfect precision, her feet striking the floor like flames. She moved not just with skill, but with her soul. Every step told a story. Of pain, of survival, of dreams no one could crush. The crowd leaned forward, their laughter silenced. Each spin was sharper, each pause filled with more power than words could carry. Her arms extended like wings, her body arching with elegance that transcended beauty. She wasn't merely dancing, she was pouring her very life into the floor, letting the music carry her beyond fear, beyond shame. And for the first time, Zayd's smirk faded. His eyes followed her movements, unable to look away. This was no ordinary dancer, no simple girl. This was a storm wrapped in silk, a flame that refused to be extinguished. The room disappeared, all he could see was her. When the final note struck, Elara froze in a pose so powerful the silence felt eternal. Then the room exploded into applause. People rose to their feet, cheering, clapping, shouting her name though they had only just learned it. Tears shone in some eyes, smiles spread across faces. And Zayd, once jeering, once mocking, remained seated, his jaw clenched, his heart betraying him with a single unspoken truth: he was speechless. Elara bowed, her chest rising and falling with exhaustion, but her eyes never left his. In that moment, she knew she had won, not his proposal, not his fortune, but something far more important. She had proven her worth, not to the world, but to herself. And yet, deep inside Zayd, something unfamiliar stirred. For the first time in his life, a woman had challenged his pride and left him silent. It unsettled him, it intrigued him, and it planted a seed of change he could not ignore. As the cheers died down, Elara turned to leave the stage. But her fate had already shifted. The man who once mocked her would never forget her. Their story had only just begun. The next morning, Zayd found himself restless. Sleep had eluded him, haunted by the memory of Elara's fiery tango. It wasn't just her dance, it was her courage, her defiance, the way she looked at him without fear. For the first time, he questioned the arrogance that had defined his life. He summoned her, expecting hesitation, but Elara entered his study with steady steps. Her red dress was gone, she wore something simple, yet her presence filled the room. "You silenced me last night," Zayd admitted, his voice lower than usual. "No one has ever done that." Elara's eyes did not waver. "I didn't dance for you," she said softly. "I danced for my family, for my dignity. You mocked me, but I refused to break." Her words struck him harder than any applause. For a moment, the billionaire who had everything realized he had nothing worth keeping: no love, no respect, no truth. Zayd leaned forward, his arrogance melting. "Elara, teach me what it means to live with such strength." She smiled faintly, not as a woman conquered, but as one who had conquered herself. And in that moment, his jeer had turned into admiration, perhaps even love. If Elara's courage touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Goodness Corner, where stories of strength and hope come alive every day.